We still in the pods. I'm still in the pods. You still in the pods. Everybody in the pods. Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel, Lovey with a Nee. I'm your girl Nee, and if you haven't already, do me a huge favor, hit that red subscribe button. Also, ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And y'all, we are 6 episodes in to Love is Blind, and we are still in the pods. It's a mess, but we're here to talk about it all. So, with that being said, we're gonna get right into it. I wouldn't mind us still being in the pods if it gave me something, okay? Especially knowing that there were other couples that made connections and we saw zero. And I mean zero of them. That's neither here nor there. I'm not the producer. I didn't create it and they're not paying me. So I'm just going to do my reviews on YouTube and call it a day. All right. So we are on a date with Ben and Sarah, and Ben tells Sarah that he has fallen in love with her. And Sarah mentions that they need to have conversations with more substance. And I can't remember if this is the episode or the date where Sarah is talking about the Black Lives Matter movement, but my note does say that Ben says that he purposely keeps himself ignorant to the world problems, because if it doesn't affect him, he likes to quote unquote stay out of it. And all right. Madison and Mason are on their date, and Mason tells Madison that he is committed to her. And she makes this face that makes me feel like she's really not into him. She does tell him that she wasn't trying to give him an ultimatum, but she does appreciate him for telling her that. You can tell that she's not really interested. She's on the other side, like rolling her eyes and could care less. After that, they immediately go into sexual innuendos, and in my opinion, she is playing with this man's head. Madison and Alex are on their date, and it's so funny how they are both walking around in circles during this date. But Alex asks Madison to be his girlfriend, and she accepts. And so then they get to talking about who else they had a connection with, and I honestly don't think that they should have done that, or they should have done it when they got outside of the pods, maybe in the honeymoon. But anyways, we're here, and so Madison obviously reveals to Alex that she had a connection with Mason, and I don't think Alex ever really said who he had a connection with, and I don't think that there was anybody else. So they go back to the quarters, and the women and the men both celebrate, respectively with their person after finding out that they are now in a relationship. Meg hears all of the celebration and knows that Madison also had a connection with Alex, and so she's starting to have second thoughts about their connection because she feels like she is second choice. And she mentions that she hasn't gotten any affirmations from Mason, which, I can definitely understand from her point of view. And she's kind of like, so am I now going to get affirmations from him because he's about to get dumped? So I'm with Meg. I'm with Meg 100%. Devin and Brittany are on their date, and Devin tells Brittany his story about how he once experienced just debilitating pain, so much so that it hurt to walk. So because of the pain, he started to abuse ibuprofen to help with the pain. He started taking 2, then he started taking 4, then it was like 18, then it was 20, and he was just taking a lot of pain medicine, specifically ibuprofen, to just kind of help with his pain. He says that he was in this really dark space because he couldn't imagine his life without basketball. So he says that he just talked to God, and he was guided to get a second opinion, and he went to this one doctor, and this doctor found that it was actually his femur and his pelvis that were rubbing against each other that was giving him so much pain. So he had surgeries, and now he's feeling better than ever. He gives all credit to God and says that, had he not leaned on him to guide him through this situation, who knows where he would be now. So Brittany hears this story, and she is sobbing, she is crying, and she is very consoling to him in this moment. And so Brittany's like, hey, we're sharing stories. Let me tell you, something about me. And so she tells him that she has had experiences with women. So So Devin's kind of taken aback. Of course, Devin starts asking questions. He's getting inquisitive. This is new territory for him. He says that he's never dated someone that has had same sex relationships. So, he's just trying to get a little bit more information. He does tell Brittany that he appreciates her opening up, but you can definitely tell that this is something that he is very uncomfortable with. I had to go run some errands and do some things. My camera died, and now we're back, okay? I believe we stopped at Brittany and Devin, and Brittany had just told Devin that she had had experiences with women. Okay, so I just think that in this conversation that Brittany expected Devin to just say, oh, okay, that's fine, or whatever. I'm glad that you told me. But instead, he kind of gave a little pushback. He asked questions. He was very inquisitive. To his own admission, he even said, I've never been in a space where the person that I'm dating has dated someone of the same sex, so this is very new to me. And I think in Brittany's situation, the way that it appears to me is that she's just very unsure. She doesn't really know or fully understand what it is that she's looking for. I know she says that she just wants to be married to a man, but she said that she grew up in a very strict home. So I think that this is just kind of like her, discovering herself. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, do that. Discover yourself. We would much rather you take your time to discover yourself, spread your wings and fly and figure out what it is that you really, really want, instead of denying yourself of that just because you want to fit into a social norm. So I think if she were sure, and the reason why I say that she's kind of unsure, because she even said, like, hey, I haven't even told my family this. So now we're not sure. We're also not confident, because if we were, we would be able to talk about this freely with the people that we love and have no shame in it, no, regret, no, second thought about it. But now she's in a space where she's really not doing that. And so I think that her cause to pause gives Devin his cause to pause. And we just all pause and we're just like, okay, hold on. We really need to figure this out. And I do think that Brittany needs to figure out herself before she tries to bring somebody else into the fold. So it's unfortunate, because I think that this will definitely be kind of like their dunzo. This is kind of the non-negotiable, what's gonna be the reason that they don't continue on. But even looking back in their dates, they don't seem very romantically involved to me. They seem a lot like Joey and Monica. Like, they're just really good friends. They're having a really good time. I can confide in you about things. You can confide in me, but I don't see them like holding hands and like kissing on each other, if that makes sense. So, it is what it is. So then we go to a date with Virginia and Devin tells Virginia that he doesn't feel like he knows everything about her. And she's saying, oh, I'm shy. And he's like, look, girl, the next step is us getting engaged, and then after that, it's marriage. This is what we signed up for. And I can't confidently drop down on one knee if you don't start to open up to me. So she tells him that she hasn't had really good representations of love, and that she really doesn't want to repeat that. She mentioned something about her grandparents and her parents and how they just really didn't show her what love is supposed to look like. She also goes on to say, look, my hair did, my nails did, everything did. I have everything that I want in life, and I'm fulfilled. And I could leave here at any moment and be okay. But I'm staying for you, okay? And I was like, pop off, Virginia, okay? And Devin goes on to tell Virginia his story about his injury and abusing the ibuprofen, and how he turned to God and had the surgery, and now he's back and he's better than ever. She definitely consoles him as well. She gives him some nice affirming words, and they kind of sit there, cry and snot and go back and forth and just have like a really heartfelt moment. Daniel and Taylor. So Taylor has been emotional thinking about her family. Daniel is just such a sweetie pie. He reassures her that she can talk to him about anything, about how she feels. If she's having a sad day, he's like, come on, talk to me, let it all out. And he tells her, if there's ever a moment in this process that you felt like you needed to leave and you needed to go back home, do it. And I will leave too, and I will come find you. And he is just, Daniel. Daniel, when I did the cast reveal, I was really concerned, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, in his bio, he said something about how he doesn't think before he speaks. And I definitely thought that Daniel was going to be what Dave is. And I'm so happy and so glad that I was wrong in that, because he is really winning me over with his words. I will be very anxious to see, or not anxious, but I will be, keeping my eye out on how he handles things with his actions. But just right now, he is talking a really, really good game. So Daniel mentions that he wonders if they've crossed paths before, and I think that this was something done with editing, because he just randomly says, "Oh, that was dumb." And she's like, "That wasn't dumb." And it really had no context to what they were talking about at that particular moment. Dave and Molly. So Dave asked Molly about her ring choice, like what style that she would like, the color, etc., etc. And one can just kind of insinuate that he's about to propose to Molly. Like, Molly is his girl, that he's going to choose her, and he's going to propose to her. He mentions he does still have another connection, and he tells Molly that she has been his number one since day one. He also tells her that he likes that she hasn't put any pressure on him. She's been very easygoing and letting him just kind of make his decision. So Lauren is being real weird and not wanting to be around Molly, because of course we know that she knows that Molly is the other person and that they are really into the same guy. Molly does mention to Virginia that Dave said he was going to end things with Lauren, and now she feels bad that she has been talking to Dave in front of her, or been talking about Dave in front of her. She claims that she didn't know that Lauren was the other person, and this whole time she thought that it was Sarah that he was having the second connection with. Dave and Lauren are on a date, and Lauren just ask him point blank period, "What's up with you and Molly?" He goes on to say, "I don't want to get in the girl drama." And I was like, what's the girl drama? There is no drama. I just want Dave to just say how he feels, like just express himself, just say like, "This is where I'm at," and let these people choose, accordingly. So he mentions that he and Molly don't have deep conversations, but they agree on the same things. He says that he feels like he liked Molly more because she told him that he was his only choice. So he says, "I like the girl who likes me and only me." And he lies and says that he never told Molly that she was his number one choice and she was the only person that he could see proposing to. So that's just a straight up lie. We just watched it in the previous scene where you said all those things that you're saying that you did not say. So Dave is trying to play. He's trying to play both of these girls. So I was like, you literally just asked Molly what her ring size is and what style of ring she wears, and or what size she wears and what is her preferred style. And then he literally point blank period said, "Yeah, you are my number one." And so it's just mind boggling to me that when you're confronted, now you're backpedaling and reneging on what you said. I feel like even if you were to tell them the truth, they would still be interested in you. So I mean, you're not gonna lose. Lauren is talking with Madison, or is it Molly that's talking with Madison? I'm not sure. One or the other is talking with Madison and telling them about everything that's going on. And even Madison clocked it. She was just like, "Oh, it sounds like he's trying to play y'all." And I definitely agree. So Devin and Brittany are in the pods, and Brittany is talking with Devin, and she just tells him how she, knows that she has been indecisive, and she also lets him know that she wished that he would have responded differently to her opening up to him about her sexuality. She also tells him that she feels he's a bit more rigid than what she would like in a partner, and she really doesn't feel like they are meant for each other. So ultimately, she breaks things off with Devin, and, she thanks him and says, "Hey, I appreciate you." He says, "I appreciate you," and that they had fun throughout this process, and they're really glad that they got to meet each other. Brittany, before she leaves, tells Devin, like, "Hey, the girl that you're about to choose, Virginia, is really great." And I really like the fact that she hyped Virginia up before she left out. I did like their banter in the beginning, but when I start to kind of analyze and look at it, like, do I see them being a husband and wife? Yeah, the answer is no. Ben and Sarah are in the pods. They're on a date, laying down on the floor, and they both tell each other that they are each other's number ones. And Ben kicking up his feet while he was laying down was just so cute. I was kind of laughing. It was just really cute to me. Sarah tells Ben that she loves him, but she still wants to talk about the deeper things, because she had talked to Lauren about their social, like the social about the social causes and just where she has concerns, and she ultimately says that, like, "Hey, we are on the same page." And I was like, "Meh." Okay. Ben also tells her that, hey, look, I do believe in what you believe in, and where I'm ignorant, it is not your responsibility to teach me. However, I am willing to learn and grow in those things with you. So Ben drops down on one knee, and like it never happened, all the concern and all that, it just never happened because Sarah says yes. All right. And that is the end of episode 4, so we're going to go right into episode 5. If you're still here hanging in with me, please give me a big thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. So we open up episode 5 with Dave in the men's quarters, and he is having a meltdown, and he is talking about his sister. And I'm immediately annoyed. However, I did get a good laugh because Joey gave him a little pat, and then like that was it. I was like, thank you for consoling the man, Joey. Dave and Molly are in the pods, and Dave is putting on a performance of his life. He is crying, he's doing the snotting, he's doing the he's just doing all the things, and Molly seemingly is unfazed. She pretty much forces him to make a decision because he's trying to kind of prolong this and not really say what he means and means what he says. He's just kind of piddle-paddling around the elephant in the room. Molly is really calm, cool, and collected, and in everything that he's saying, she's just really kind of keeping her demeanor. She's asking questions when they need to be asked, and ultimately she's really not just giving him much. And he was like, oh my gosh, you're handling this really well. And I guess he thought that she was gonna beg and plead for him, and she did not do any of that. In the end, he does break things off with her. He does end things and pretty much says that I choose Lauren. And once again, Molly's like, okay, cool, you know, I appreciate it, and you have a great day. And he's still taken aback by why she isn't having a bigger reaction to this. And it's like, really and truly, like, I've only known you for 3 days. Like, I'm not about to get myself so riled up about somebody I've known for 3 days, and I really don't even know you because I can't see you. I don't know. Molly goes back to Lauren, and this is where she does break down. She is crying. She is seemingly affected by their breakup, and Molly apologizes to Lauren. She's like, look, I did not know that it was you. I wouldn't have talked about him in front of you if I had known, and I'm just really sorry for, you know, not being more considerate of your feelings. I think that Molly handled that conversation very well. She wasn't trying to sway Lauren one way or the other. She was just like, hey, ask your questions, get your clarity, and know who you are about to get in cahoots with. And so they leave things on a good note. Dave goes on a date with Lauren, and he lies the entire time, and I was over it. That's all I got to say on that. Well, I will say one more thing. The way that they are so okay with the amount of times he brings up his sister is concerning to me. It really concerns me. And once again, it may be an editing thing. It may not come up as much as we are seeing it as a viewer, but y'all don't question that at all, and it bothers me. It bothers me a lot, but I'm not on the show, and this ain't my business, so we're gonna keep on keeping on. Daniel and Taylor. So Daniel and Taylor exchange gifts, and it's Christmas theme, and you know, we're no surprise there. They both really, really love Christmas. Daniel had given Taylor his Christmas stocking, and she's like, you know what? It's so funny. I have this same exact Christmas stocking, and just a lot of similarities and parallels in their lives are just very ironic. So Taylor talks about how her ex didn't post her on social media, but would always like other women's photos, and they talk about insecurities, and Daniel does mention that he was a late bloomer and he got picked on a lot, while Taylor says at one time she was really insecure about her body. They talk about Daniel possibly following Taylor on Instagram, but he says, no, I don't think I followed you because I would have definitely remembered you by your IG name. He said that there's something that he just can like photographically remember, and he would have definitely remembered her Instagram name. So Sarah and Ben are getting ready for the reveal, and the doors open and Ben takes off in a sprint. And I do want to say this, that Ben is really light on his feet. Like, we didn't hear no stomping, no clucking, no nothing, and he had really great form, okay? He looked like he may have been an athlete in his previous life. So anyway, he proposes again. She says yes, and they were, despite their social differences, they were really cute together. They had a lot of kissing, a lot of hugging, a lot of touching. They are what I expected Joey and Monica to be, just kind of all over each other, just enthralled in each other's, you know, body heat. But, you know, hey, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. They're getting ready to end their meetup for the first time, and Ben actually walks her all the way back to her pod thing, and I thought that was really sweet. So, you know, congratulations to them. We go back to Dave and Lauren. He proposes and she says yes. Alex is talking to Mason, and there's something about Alex talking with Mason knowing that he's about to get dumped that kind of bothers me. I have read and watched a few videos before shooting this one where they're like, oh, it's so nice, he's being consoling. But to me, I didn't see it that way. It seemed a little, I don't want to say manipulative. It just, a little conniving, I think is the word that I want to use to me. It just was malicious and disingenuous from my point of view, from my perspective. But, you know, it could just be me. Madison and Mason are on a date, and he gives her a cream pie. Madison breaks up with him. Mason says, you know what, hey, I knew that when I told you that I was committed to you that it didn't feel right. And Madison's like, what? Like, hold on a second. And she's just really kind of bothered by that. Madison also goes on to mention that her and Meg have been talking, and she felt like Mason was trying to play them, and so as a result he may have lost both girls in the process. And I just don't like that she spoke for somebody else and didn't let Meg have that conversation with him. You know, yes, that's probably what he was trying to do, but essentially that's what we're all trying to do in this process. We're trying to hang on to the options that we think are best until we make the final decision for the person we feel is best. So, you know, don't be a hypocrite, because you also had two choices, with the other one being Alex. So kind of pump your brakes, slow your roll, and let's, you know, calm it down. I do feel like Madison is malicious though, because she was smiling and smirking after she knows that this guy is probably crushed and crumbled. And I'm like, you know, why would you do this to somebody who you essentially don't really know, and who overall has really done not a lot to you? You know, there's not a lot that he could even do within these circumstances. But she comes out of the pause and she's like, oh, breakups feel good, and she's just on her high horse and happy. And I don't know, something about that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but to each their own. After that, you know, Madison goes to the pods, Mason goes to the men's pods, and Alex was the first person to come and console Mason. And I just want to say, it's always the people that are right in your face. I know a lot of people are like, oh, Alex is so nice, oh, so nice. I just don't see it that way. To me, it just seems malicious. And it's me. Maybe it's me and I just have a distorted view, but for some reason that just doesn't sit well in my spirit, and my discernment meter is going off. So Mason is talking to Alex, and he's saying that what he said to Madison will definitely come back and bite him in the butt. And Alex is like, you know, hey, the girls don't talk in the quarters. And he's like, no, they are definitely talking. They are definitely comparing notes, and I have something to worry about. So Madison's on her side, and she's bragging and telling Meg about how I told him, you know, he may have lost both of us. And Meg's like, oh my gosh, like, no, girl, don't say that. Like, essentially, don't speak for me, because I don't know how I feel, and I don't need you to go telling him how I feel. So Madison was definitely out of pocket and speaking things just to kind of give him another just to do another like 1-2 and KO. She just wanted to hurt Mason, and I really don't understand why. Meg and Mason are on their date, and of course they have to address the elephant in the room. So Mason tells Meg, like, hey, you were my number one. I should have never committed to Madison. I really should have been committed to you. And so Meg was like, hey, did you realize that before or after you got dumped by Madison? And so he's sitting there looking crazy with egg on his face, because that's a valid question. He is just trying to convince her, and he is, you know, giving his best pleading and just pleading his case and trying to tell her, like, hey, baby girl, you were it. You were the one for me. And, you know, we leave off on that episode with him saying that she is his number one. Here we are with episode number 6. Y'all, if you've made it for real, if you made it this far into the video, then that means you like me. So go ahead, subscribe, go ahead and give me a thumbs up, and drop down in the comments and tell me who's your favorite couple at this point in the show. All right, let's get on. So episode 6, we open up where we left off with Madison and Meg talking in the pods. So Mason is still giving his best Easter Sunday speech. He is really trying to sell it to her and to let Meg know that, like, it's you. You are the only one. You are my only exception. And Meg is just not having it. She explains to him that she has been so vocal and open about where she stood. She says that he really didn't give her much, and he really didn't. I mean, we can even go back to when she was like, oh, I miss you, and he's not saying anything back. He begs and pleads, and in the end, Meg just decides to break up with him because she says him not picking her first is something that she would not be able to get past. So she made the best decision. She did what she felt was best for her, and kudos to her. But another piece of me is like, dang, I really hate that you let Madison kind of ruin your experience and kind of get in your head. But I do understand her making that decision. I really just want Mason to get a little sip of water and just clear his throat out, because between the way he holds his mouth and the way he talk like this, all of it is giving me the ick. So Daniel and Taylor are in the pods, and they both write each other a letter. Taylor didn't have her letter finished at that point, but Daniel did have his finished, and they read their letters to each other, and it is really sweet. They are so much alike, it's starting to become eerie. Like, it's really crazy how much alike those two are. But moving along, Daniel does propose to Taylor, and she does say yes. We're at Dave and Lauren's reveal, and they open up the doors, and they get to each other, and Dave's like, you ready for a ring? Anyways, bye Dave and bye Lauren, because you said yes to this man. Anyways, moving on. Devin and Virginia. So Devin had his good velvet on, y'all. He was shining, y'all. He also writes Virginia a letter, and he reads it to her, and then he proposes, and she says yes. And Virginia's in the pause like, oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so excited. And like nothing. Alex and Madison. So Madison gave Alex, they're exchanging gifts, and Madison gives Alex a rock that her brother, one of the rocks that her brother used to collect. He gives her a book of paintings by his grandmother, and she gives him a used paintbrush, saying that maybe one day they can paint together. So they talk about Mason and how he handled the breakup, and Alex mentions that he feels for him, he has sympathy for him, and then Madison says that Mason wasn't nice to her, and I was really confused by that, because once again, I think I've said this before, I don't see where he was ever mean. Like, he seemed pretty decent of a guy, in my opinion. I do also want to mention that Alex bringing all this up is him sticking his nose in the business that has nothing to do with him, and he also seems like he is pushing the issue, especially when it's kind of like, look, I dumped this guy in this experience to be with you. So they are going back and forth about how, Madison really didn't like how Mason handled her, and Alex is kind of like saying like, hey, I understand why he's doing this. He's trying to therapize the whole situation, and ultimately, because he was siding with Mason, Madison was kind of like, I don't appreciate that. I don't like that. You're trying to justify him. And so she shuts down. And so they get kind of awkward, and they're not talking, and she's tapping, and she's doing like all of the anxious ticks and just all the things. And Alex is just kind of sitting there and taking it all in. And he ultimately is just like, look, I can't handle it. I can't handle you. And he decides to break it off with her. This is probably like the straw that broke the camel's back, and a combination of all the other things that she has told him. However, the first sign of conflict in a relationship shouldn't be a reason to run. Like, if you want to get married, you have to figure out like the conflict resolution. That's something that my husband and I really had to work hard at, because I personally wasn't good at it. And so it's something that we had to really learn and work, and are still working through, to make sure that we have those tools in our tool belt. So him just saying meet me and like getting out of there at their first kind of tiff just makes me. Alex was playing chess and she was playing goldfish. But I want to say this, as big of a manipulator as Madison is or appears to be, I want to say your boy Alex is a bigger one. Something in the buttermilk is not clean, and I'm gonna stand on that. So we get to Devin and Virginia's reveal, and honestly, it was okay. There was really nothing that stood out to me. Virginia did say thank you like 20 times. If you were playing a drinking game, you would be on the floor, okay? You would be good and gone. I don't know if they hugged or kissed or anything like that. I started scrolling TikTok, so We're going to Taylor and Daniel. Taylor's dress, this green dress that she wore in this reveal was so stinking pretty. Like, it was so cute. I absolutely loved it. The reveal was cute. They were cuddled up, they were kissing, and they just seem like they're going to be a really good couple. I think of all the couples, I really have faith that those two will make it. I don't know about anybody else at this point, but I definitely feel like Taylor and Daniel are in it for the long haul. However, I'm about to eat those words because at the very end of this episode, it's 24 hours later. Taylor is very emotional and she is sitting in her hotel room and she's just talking to the camera and telling us how she felt that Daniel knew who she was before the reveal. And she feels this way because she thinks that he followed her on Instagram and kind of pieced together her life from what she posted on Instagram and was able to regurgitate and use that to his ability to connect with her in the pods. She even goes so far to describe one of his pictures that he has on Instagram, and Daniel's kind of like, no, I don't remember you. I don't recall. This doesn't seem familiar to me, yada, yada, yada. And I kind of low-key want to be like, Taylor, are you the stalker? Have you been following him? Like, how you know what his picture looked like, girl? I went and looked at her IG, okay? There was no distinguishing things that I could see that they had discussed in the pods that I felt like would give him a leg up in the race and he would be able to use in order to get closer to her, if that makes sense. But anyways, that is where the episode ends, and we don't know if he did or did not follow her or whatever the case may be. That's it for today's video. We made it through. We made it through on the other side. I don't know how we made it. I honestly don't know when we made it, but we made it, baby. We made it. Anyways, y'all, I have read. I didn't read nothing. I watched episodes 7, 8, and 9 of this season, so I will be sure to get that review done, filmed, and edited and out as soon as possible. In the meantime, go back and watch my other review if you haven't already. Also, drop down in the comments. Tell me something good. Tell me what you're thinking, what you're liking. You know, give me your assessment of the couples thus far. Give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to my channel, y'all, and don't forget to tell somebody, to tell somebody, to tell somebody else to come on over and enjoy Lovey with Nee. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!
Yeah.